Hey lads, the footy's about to start. Shall we place a bet?
What are we thinking?
A guy in the Ladbrokes app shared his bet and reckons we take the overs.
Do we trust him?
Well, his username is the Crystal Ball, and 50 people have copied his bet.
Say no more. We're on the overs.
Jump into Ladbrokes Mates Mode, where you can get insights from racing experts and chat and share bets with like-minded punters. T's and C's apply and are available on website. You win some, you lose more. For free and confidential support, visit gamblinghelponline.org.au.
And now, as advertised,
Steve Summers here.
Steve Summers here.
Steve Summers here, and you there.
You there.
You there.
Schmoozing for a few minutes.
In the schmooze room.
There's only one thing I want to say before I get into the monologue, and that is this. It is good to be king.
And welcome to Schmooze number 2. Steve Summers here, me here, and you there, with producer, director, choreographer, makeup man, and key grip Paulie Rosenberg. He's on the other side of the glass. By the way, maybe you saw from Sunday with the New York Yankees, if there is a will to get Warren out of the game, the Pirates found that way, and beating the Yankees in overtime, inexcusable, even if the Yankees took 2 out of 3 from the hapless Pirates. If 1 is the loneliest number, what can we say of the number 3? Well, it's been said good things come in threes. Robert Frost, he once said in 3 words, I can basically sum up everything I've learned about life. It goes on. And we all know good things come in threes, and that's been proven by Three Dog Night, their Joy to the World spectacular, and Tony Orlando and Dawn knocking 3 times. And I'll always remember Suzanne Summers, not only because she spelled her last name the same as I do mine, but Summers starred in Three's Company, that long ago TV show. The Three Stooges, well, they made you laugh, but nobody right now is laughing at 3 New York teams, the New York Metropolitans, the New York Yankees, and the New York Knickerbockers. And if New York sports is a carnival, the Yankees, the Metropolitans, and the Knickerbockers are your funhouse. The New York Yankees, well, they have 3 superstars, Judge, and more of Judge. And because he's right up there with Babe Ruth, and by the way, what number was the Babe? All right, he's only one guy, Judge, but he does the work of 3 good men. But let's face it, since the very start of the season, Judge, he's still making history as we speak. But let's make note of 3 others who have become notable: Trent Grisham, Jazz Chisholm, and Anthony Volpe, who is in the process of becoming not just number 11 in your program, but number 1 in your heart at shortstop. The New York Metropolitans, of course, have 3 genuine superstars in Soto, Lindor, and Alonso, but 3 others we can name so far making a difference. And one of them wears number 3, of course, and that's Jesse Winker, making a habit of 3 base hits. And, of course, last Wednesday was a day you didn't miss Alvarez because of Torrens, the tag he made at home plate on Edwards, the throw that caught Conine stealing at second. And so far, he's not been entirely invisible at the plate. And then there is number 3 here making himself known, Tyler McGill. The 3 pitches he has, the slider, the change, and the curve, and the ERA well under 3. In fact, it's well under 1, and he doesn't use many pitches at all. He doesn't have to throw a lot, so we can say he's Mr. Efficiency. He's working well into the game, keeping the Metropolitans in the game, and not throwing 100,000 pitches. And then finally with the New York Knickerbockers, what seemed like a lifetime, Brunson returning to the team last Sunday. But 3 Knickerbockers have made a difference in his absence. Anunoby, with his energy and aggressiveness and his defense. Now, he averaged about 17, 18 a game with Brunson, but he stepped up without Brunson, averaging close to 23 a game. And then, of course, we have Bridges with his scoring. His offense has been very noticeable, and sharing the number 3 spot, certainly Towns and certainly Josh Hart. The Knickerbockers can challenge Boston. Don't laugh. I think they can, but they must stay healthy, and they should meet the Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals, as long as the starters take a breather every now and then, and, of course, make their threes and guard that perimeter so that the other guy doesn't make his three, or if he gets the shot off, that it's contested. The Knickerbockers certainly have to stay healthy, and they have to stay out of foul trouble, and they have to continue to crash the boards. They have to hit their free throws. They have to move and create space without the ball. They must get back in transition and, by all means, guard that rim and the perimeter. And you can't say that enough, since everybody is shooting threes like there's no tomorrow. And if you can get the intensity at both ends of the floor, the Knickerbockers can challenge and maybe even beat this one particular team over 500. And as you know, the Knickerbockers haven't won a game against those elite teams that are over 500. But maybe if they do all of the right things on a very consistent level, they might be able to beat the one particular over 500 team that has had their number, and that, of course, is the Boston Celtics. The number 3, now, when we talk about the New York Rangers, how many numbers? Much more than 3. But the number 3, if you're looking for 3 points of disorder with the New York Rangers, it's not been a good number for them. They against the Devils, that's unacceptable. That's 3 as in periods where malfunction, dysfunction at the junction of bad to worse. First of all, with the New York Rangers, there are 4 crooked lines. How many changes have we seen? And thank you, Coach, who becomes very much expendable and certainly should not be back next year and probably won't. He is not winning with this team. And, of course, Laviolette belongs in the penalty box. And number 2, penalty killing with the New York Rangers has not been as efficient as it should be in number 3. And number 3 can be number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5. Their power play. The Rangers are better shorthanded scoring than they are with the man advantage. And that power play, 2 for their last 43. That's absolutely embarrassing, and it's counting. And can we count the goaltending as 3A? Nobody's standing on their head of late. That is Shesterkin. That is Quick, even though he set that record with goaltending over 400 wins. So nobody with the Rangers in games they need to win to get themselves into the postseason, nobody is standing on their head of late or standing their ground unless they stand too long in the neutral zone instead of in front of the net. And please me, stop with those cross-ice passes. The Rangers can win a face-off. They do that quite often, especially Trocheck, but so far, not these very important games. And again, losing 4-0 to the Devils is inexcusable with the penalty kill and that shorthanded goal not going to get you to where they need to go right now behind Montreal for that final wild card spot. And let's be honest, if you're a diehard Ranger fan, if they do get that wild card spot, how far do you really think the Blue Shirts are going to go? The New York Rangers, they're shooting blanks, needing to do what the Yankees, the Metropolitans, and the Knickerbockers are doing. Those three teams are firing torpedoes, and maybe they can do that by remaking those hockey sticks. Maybe that's what the Rangers really need to do. Make those hockey sticks more like the torpedo bats and make it a lethal weapon like the three New York teams that right now have you living in the funhouse thanks to torpedoes sinking the opposition.
Go pick me out a winner, Bobby.
Okay.
Torpedo!
And in the major leagues, there's a new trend taking over.
It is gone! A home run for Austin Wells, and what a start to the 2025 season for the New York Yankees.
Closer look at what's called the torpedo bat.
Torpedo on the water bearing 2-4-1. Goodbye! Home run for Goldie!
The torpedo bat is what everybody's talking about at the major league level.
I don't know. I'm kind of starting to smile at it a little more, like, it's taken on a life of its own.
Deep drive! Left field! No doubt about it! Aaron Judge way upstairs! It's 3-0 Yankees!
What was that? Some sort of torpedo?
I've never seen anything like it.
Second torpedo in the water bearing 2-4-2. Say goodbye! 3-run homer, Anthony Volpe.
I really just look at it as, the evolution of equipment.
Maybe it's some sort of alien technology.
Oh, I thought it was really exciting. It's a development that likely involved physics and engineering.
Oh, look at this by Jazz, deep to right center field. That's out of here. Another pay now for the Yankees.
Torpedo impact now, 40 seconds.
These are high, majestic fly balls that just keep going.
That baby is out of here. Going back and say goodbye. Good, a grand 2-run, 3-run homer. A 3-run homer.
Torpedo impact, 25 seconds.
So explain to me kind of how this torpedo bat works and why it could give a batter an advantage.
You start with a bat, and then it's like a doohickey with a thing on it,
2 more torpedoes in the water. Say goodbye. 3-run homer, Aaron Judge. It's gone. A home run for Trent Grisham.
Going forward, a very key element for physics might be to help baseball pitchers.
You mean like a torpedo ball?
Can you take a hockey stick and turn it into a torpedo? And maybe the New York Rangers can rearrange their hockey stick. Can you take a hockey stick and make it look and act and perform like a torpedo bat? That might help them a great deal. All right, when we come back, we'll take a quick break, and when we come back, a quick pause. And when we come back, Paulie Rosenberg will join Schmooze number 2, Steve Summers here, and you there. We continue now with Schmooze number 2 with Steve Summers here and you there, and Paulie Rosenberg, he the producer, director, key grip, makeup man, and the choreographer on the other side of the glass. Paulie, what's happening?
Mr. Summers, how are we doing tonight?
We're doing okay, Paulie, and good to hear the voice and see you in person.
Absolutely. It always is. I was at Mets opening day on Friday, excuse me.
Yes.
I know you watched it on TV. I know you were not there. I saw Mr. Met Bob Huesler at the tailgate, which was wonderful. How was the energy like over the TV? Because in person at Citi Field, there was a palpable buzz, whether it was for Soto, the re-signing of Alonso, the positivity. How did that come across on TV from your perspective?
It came through the screen. It was there. It was exciting to watch because even though I was not there, it was feeling like I was. The excitement, the electricity, the anticipation. with a brand new season beginning at home. Bottom line was all of that energy came through the screen. It felt like I was there, even though I wasn't.
Yeah, no, and that's what I thought. And listen, Soto got a massive ovation.
Sure.
Lindor was getting MVP chants from the start of the game. Pete Alonso with a big home run. I don't know if I've ever seen someone take a curtain call in April, but the guy hits a home run in the first inning and he takes a curtain call, and that's Pete. And, that's why Mets fans love Pete. Although my one fear for Pete is that he's going to put Mets fans through the same stuff that he put us through this past offseason. And I don't want to think that way because that's so far down the line. But I am slightly, my antennas are up that what Pete put the Mets and the Mets fans through last offseason, he's going to do again next offseason.
Well, again, and it's interesting to me, too, when I hear that the Metropolitan fans have welcomed him back like they have welcomed Soto to the team. I never thought Alonso was going to go to Toronto or any other team that you can think of or name during the offseason where the rumors were flying. And they were flying all over the place because all of the other first basemen that were available were signing elsewhere. And it didn't leave Alonso much options of signing with another team. Plus, he didn't want to sign with another team, and the Mets didn't want to sign him with another team. So let him be a free agent again after 2025. Again, he can bet on himself, and he is off to a good start. And we've also seen him, as you know, making some very nice defensive plays over there at first.
Absolutely. And again, what he did last season, specifically in the in the postseason in Milwaukee and everything, and that home run, which is going to live in infamy for the Mets. What he did, he has a place in Mets fans' hearts, but I hope he doesn't put these Mets fans and us Mets fans through the same thing again. And if he does, he does. And for this specific team, 3 games up against the Marlins coming up. And you would think that, let's get 2 out of 3 or sweep them. The fish are just awful. And I know it's early. I know it's April. But you don't want to mess around. You have Senga, Holmes, and McGill, I believe, are the 3 lined-up starters. Take care of business like they did against the Blue Jays. And, like they did. Yes.
And here's the thing with Miami. Let's hope that by the end of April or maybe mid-May, they're mathematically eliminated and want to trade their starting ace. Because if you're the Metropolitans, you want to pick up Alcantara.
Absolutely. I think that would be... Now, listen, did the Marlins want to trade him in the division? I don't think they would care as long as they get a good piece back or multiple pieces back. But Sandy Alcantara, he would fit in like a glove with this team. So that is something that the Mets fans do have to look forward to, along with the good vibes that seem to be surrounding the franchise right now.
Absolutely.
There is just a positive aura, which me, as a 39-year-old, am not used to. That's a Mets fan.
Well, probably alluding to Alonso, and certainly knowing the New York Metropolitans as you and I and everybody else knows them, will be put through the ringer. There's no question about it. You know that there will be moments of the dip and moments of the very high points. But what they did the last 2 months of the last season and what they did against Milwaukee, has Milwaukee scored any runs this year? How about Cincinnati, by the way, going 3 consecutive games being shut out 1-0? And now they're scoring some runs. But what the Mets did against in the postseason, even though they didn't get as far as they wanted to go, of course, it was so miraculous and so entertaining and so exciting and electric.
Yes, it was. And like you said, listen, every baseball team wins 60 games and loses 60 games for the most part. So we are going to go through the dip, as you so expertly put it. So the dip will be there for Mets fans. It will also happen for Yankees fans. I don't think the loss on Sunday in extra innings to the Pirates isn't necessarily a start of a dip because they're going to Detroit, and Detroit has some good starters lined up.
Yes, they do.
So, but I don't know if it's necessarily a start of a dip, but I do think the Yankees, it is important for them to continue to put up as many runs as possible, obviously, with the offensive firepower that they do have.
Oh, there's no question they're going to score lots of runs and hit lots of home runs, even though I don't think most of the team is using those torpedo bats. It was right away 5 or so. But now those torpedo bats, they're available. They're you can buy one. They're very expensive, and they have spread to a lot of colleges and even a lot of high schools.
Yes, and the weird thing about the torpedo bats is that they were always legal. Like teams used them last year, or players used them last year. The Yankees, though, as a collective team, I think was the first team to kind of say, let's use this. Again, Aaron Judge isn't using it. He's the best player on the team, obviously. He doesn't need a torpedo bat. The guy's an alien. He's a monster. So he doesn't need a torpedo bat. But other players on the team clearly thought that it would help them do what they need to do and what they get paid to do, which is to hit the ball far.
Yes, and they're doing that. What are they? They have, they're on their way to 30 home runs, and we're not, we're just getting into April.
Yeah, and again, nothing to be concerned about. Listen, they're 6-3. I think, again, minus the Pirates' loss on Sunday, nothing to be concerned about early in the season. If you're a Yankee fan, you want to be a little bit concerned about the bullpen. Okay, you can probably sell me on that. I don't think Andrew Heaney is going to necessarily, strike out 10 guys every time.
Well, here's the interesting thing. Going to Detroit may not be one of the elite teams in Major League Baseball, but they have a Cy Young Award winner, and Flaherty is going to go against the Yankees, I think, in game number 3. They have a good starting rotation. I don't know about their bullpen, but the Yankees certainly have gotten off to a good start. The loss to the Pirates. How about Grisham in the 9th inning with 2 men out and getting that 2-run base hit to tie the game at 4? And I certainly thought the Yankees were going to pull out yet another extra inning game and just get into Detroit on a little bit of a winning streak. But the bottom line is they're probably going to win their division, I'm thinking.
I'll tell you what, and you brought up Trent Grisham. Right now, in a city with 2 teams loaded with superstar outfielders, the best outfielder in New York baseball right now is Trent Grisham.
Oh, he's hitting over 400.
That's over Aaron Judge, over Juan Soto, Nimmo, anyone you name. Grisham right now.
Is he better than Jose Siri?
Just a little bit better than Jose Siri. You think Jose Siri could help the Rangers by any chance? Can we get Jose Siri or Trent Grisham or anyone to help this team? Because the Rangers, such a disappointing season and end to the season. I mean, I think according to the analytics site, they're probably like around 25 or 26% to make the postseason.
Yeah.
They're in a massive amount of hurt right now. Wholesale changes, I think, have to be made at the end of the season.
And they're trailing Montreal. And let's be honest, Montreal does not have Yvon Cornwallis, one of my favorite names all time in hockey, and he's in the Hall of Fame. Yvon Cornwallis, is that not a hockey name or what?
That is exactly, almost not doesn't roll off the tongue like Guy Lafleur. Doesn't exactly roll off the tongue like that on the subject of old Canadian players.
Sure.
But absolutely, and the Canadians are good. They're coached by former Ranger Marty St. Louis.
Yes.
They have Nick Suzuki. They have Cole Caulfield. On the blue line, they're doing well with Lane Hudson and Mike Matheson. They have a very, very, very good team. And again, the cathedral of hockey right now could be in the postseason, the Bell Center in Montreal. You have all those banners hanging up on the top of the Bell Center in Montreal, Quebec. And the energy in that building for postseason hockey, really in most Canadian arenas, but specifically in Montreal.
Oh, sure. And Montreal, the Canadiens, they are to hockey what the Celtics are to the NBA.
Absolutely, what the Yankees are to baseball.
That's
but
right.
the Rangers are, and you mentioned it in the monologue, just as close to a dumpster fire as you can possibly get, and it's incredibly disappointing. I think that Laviolette has to go. I can't see how you bring him back. I would like for there to be more wholesale changes. I just don't know with the cap situation what they can do, except maybe trade Chris Kreider, reevaluate what they're going to do with Keandre Miller. But the core of this team, I don't know what they can really do about it because of their contract situation.
Yeah, and you're right about that, and you bring up an excellent point. What with the contract and the money situation with the New York Rangers, somehow, some way, they have to get better, they have to improve, and they need a coach that can settle with lines and make the players feel that they belong instead of changing them all about from line number 1 to line number 2 to line number 3 to line number 4. They need to make a number of adjustments, and whatever Laviolette is saying to the team, they ain't listening.
No, and that's the thing with Laviolette. He's been coaching, I believe, for like 24 straight consecutive seasons. So he's a hockey lifer. But his message normally runs out in like 2 to 3 years. And we're at that point, if you're the Rangers, that they're tuning him out for whatever reason. These lines right now, and you mentioned it earlier, I mean, Kreider's on the 4th line.
Yeah.
And again, Kreider has not had a good year. He's on the 4th line.
Right.
Mika's on the 3rd line.
Right.
The kid, Gabe Perreault, is on the 2nd line.
Yeah.
Brennan Othman is on the top line. And it is, and by the way, it's not just Laviolette. Alexis Lafreniere has had an awful season. Mika,
what happened?
Awful season.
What happened with him?
Kreider, awful season.
Yes.
Adam Fox has not had a good year.
No.
Keandre Miller leaves a lot to be desired, and he's one of the more frustrating ones because that guy shows flashes of actually being a top 4 defenseman, and then he just shows other flashes of just totally spinning the bit on the defensive end.
You think anyone misses Trouba? I was surprised he was a captain. And how many turnovers, please, from Trouba, and yet they got rid of him finally. And Fox, as you allude to, who is he's an all-star when he's on his game. He's been very disappointing this year. He's turned the puck over. He's not blocking the shots that he needs to block. And he has been criticized by some diehard hockey fans, and for good reason, being out of position on many occasions.
You're 100% right, and there's really nothing to add. It's sad because the Rangers had such high expectations, specifically when you have the top-notch goaltender, which they do, and Igor Shesterkin is a top 5 goaltender in the league.
Yes.
He is that damn good.
Yes.
And it's just frustrating that they haven't been able to gel together, and whatever happens in the offseason, whether that's wholesale changes with the team, front office, what happens with Chris Drury, and et cetera down the line, lots has to change because the Rangers need to forget this season happened very, very quickly.
And getting quick from the Kings as a backup, he's been okay. Certainly you were feeling very confident with the 2 goaltenders, but that's been disappointing as well in all phases of the game. To say they have been disappointment for Ranger fans. And you're right, the expectations, they were not only supposed to make the playoffs, but possibly get to the finals. So it has been a major, major disappointment with the Rangers.
Let's talk about something that's not a disappointment. And what you said on Schmooze number 1 about what you like to do in your spare time. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that you mentioned is watch shows about airplane disasters.
It's called Air Disasters.
Air Disasters, yes.
On the Smithsonian channel. And it's almost the production. First of all, I think it's a Canadian. Remember, I think, what is Canada now, the 51st state? But the bottom line is I think it's a Canadian production, although it does deal mostly with American airports and American airlines, et cetera, et cetera. Bottom line is it's a 1-hour episode on the Smithsonian Channel, and it has to do at the very beginning with an accident, whether it be maintenance causing the accidents, pilot error, first officer, co-pilot error, whether it's, just the runway, whether it's air traffic controllers, whatever it may be, it is so well done as if the camera crew is in the plane that's having the accident. And that includes the acting by the pilots and the passengers and the airport personnel and air traffic controllers and maintenance people. The second half of the 1 hour episode is always on how the National Safety National
the NTSB.
Yes, that's it. And how they go about making what safety adjustments they have to make. Now, again, it's safer statistically to fly in an airplane than it is to be in an automobile. Yet accidents do happen, and only recently we saw a number of accidents, the worst, of course, over the Potomac and with all the lost lives. But we have seen, enough accidents for us to be a little bit wary, but it's still safer to take a flight than it is to ride in an automobile. But nonetheless, air disasters on the Smithsonian Channel, it's very compelling, it's very riveting, and very realistic. The acting by professional actors that you don't recognize is exceptional.
And I want to touch on one thing before we wrap up. When you go on vacation,
yes,
I'm not going to say where it is, but you take a very interesting route on a plane, on approach when you're landing. Is that correct?
Yes, it is. And where I'm going, we go to St. Bart's. My wife and I, Robin, the hunker from Hackensack, we go and go to St. Bart's. However, what you are alluding to is no more. But what you are alluding to, because the airport at St. Bart's is really for private planes, small prop jets that fly you around the Caribbean. They hop from one island to another. The runway is very short. However, it used to be for many, many, many years before a hurricane wiped out the top of a mountain that when you go to St. Bart's from New York, you have to land in St. Martin, which is a neighboring island, and that is more of like a international airport where major airlines, can take off and land. So when you are going to St. Bart's from New York, you land at St. Martin, and then you take a short, prop plane that seats maybe 7 or 8 people that has 2 propellers, and you're going for about 10 minutes over to St. Bart's. And the St. Bart's airport is not even half the size, 1/3 the size, and a very short runway. And if, God forbid, you were to go too fast on that runway, you're going to be in the Caribbean Sea. So the bottom line is, it used to be the flight from St. Martin to St. Bart's was over a very high mountain. It was the only way you could reach the runway, and you had to go up high, higher than the flight from St. Martin. Then, right as you're about to land, approaching St. Bart's, you have to go another 1,000 or 2,000 feet up to get over this mountaintop, and then, like a roller coaster, go straight down almost to get in line with the runway. And there, not that I know of, has there been any major accident. The pilots that fly these prop airplanes are very comfortable and used to flying over the top of the mountain. But this hurricane, only a couple of years ago, 2-3 years ago, wiped out the top of the mountain. So now, you have a clear sight of the runway almost from the time you take off at St. Martin. And there's no longer that roller coaster feeling of going way up and then way down to get yourself landing in St. Bart's.
What is your favorite food to eat when you're in St. Bart's? Because you've been going there, obviously, like you said, for a long time. What is your favorite local delicacy?
Well, that's a good question. It's still what is the same here. Pizza and baby back ribs, for sure. There's one restaurant that likes to tell you that it's New York pizza, very thin crust, charred, and with baby back ribs. There's one restaurant that does baby back ribs. They are thick and they are tough and not like spare ribs that you can bite off the bone, that come right off the bone. But these are baby back ribs that you have to bite into, and the ribs are thick and very, very good. And I always want those ribs very well done, as in charred, like shoe leather. And biting them off the bone is just something that is like heaven for me.
Nothing makes the mouth water more than shoe leather.
Oh, yeah. Well, I like it that well done, for sure. Well, anyway, Paulie Rosenberg and Steve Summers here, and you there. We're wrapping up Schmooze number 2, and we'll be doing Schmooze number 3 before too very long. And thank you very much from the both of us, Paulie Rosenberg on the other side of the glass, and yours truly. Thanks for listening to Steve Summers, me here, and you there.